Richard, I heard you on many levels. I heard your comments. I just take issue with those who say, at the end of the day, the pipeline's going to get built. I take issue with that on many levels too. It's going to take a fairly large balance sheet to do that. So once again, we get back to who pays. Who has the ability to have the convening power on this issue? Who can take lead on this issue? Take it out of the court system. Because right now, it seems like the Fourth Circuit and others are leading on this issue other than the folks in this room. We need the gas. I'm one of those that believe we need it all. But this access to energy issue, this New York issue, that is not insignificant, what comment did. So, who has the ability to lead, be an honest broker on this? Who has that ability? And I come to this issue from the L&D side, from the pipeline side, from the regulator side. So, who can help me with that question? How do I go forward and have a conversation with Richard and it not get all out of hand? And the rest of the community. So, just like to hear your thoughts on that.
Just to answer that, I think the issue is that prior to 4 years ago, if there was a notice of intent for a large project, you would have to have a consultant that was able to navigate the Federal Register to try and figure out what the project was even before the scoping process of looking at alignments. That is not the world we live in now. And I used the Jordan Cove example, but I was sitting down with tribal members from the Klamath tribe, sitting down with individuals from the county commissioners, the environmental community, and the states, because the convening authority that resides with this council is very similar to what CUQ would do, except I'm not just worried about NEPA, I'm worried about the 56 other permits that could be attached post a record of decision to provide the end-to-end solution. And the reality here is that where we were 4 years ago is not where we are now. And there are separate eminent domain and FERC discussions that need to be had. That is not within my purview because of the ex parte nature of FERC. But the bottom line is this. In the past, regardless of whether it's a transmission project, a solar project, pump storage, a reservoir, the issues that have not been addressed are ones that are now being addressed by recognizing that if you bring all relevant stakeholders to the front end, on an environmental justice perspective, on a mitigation perspective, then you decharge the adversarial relationship that starts from the beginning where folks are pointed at each other trying to figure out how they're going to get this thing built fast enough and are already calculating 3 or 4 years of judicial review into actually putting a shovel in the ground. That's a world that we can change. And my card's over there.
So, thanks, Alex. I think that I don't have all the answers to this for sure, but I think there are a couple of very specific practical things that could happen. We talk all the time about fair and just compensation. In Nelson County alone, our little county in Virginia, the price paid for easements for a disturbed square foot on private landowners' land on the ACP has ranged from as little as 5 cents a foot to as much as $139 a foot. That's a 2,700% discrepancy between the two. And yes, there's divergent value of property in Nelson County, but it isn't that divergent, right? And so that calls into question the idea of what is fair and just. And who gets paid 5 cents are communities with few resources, with little access to counsel, with no idea how to work within the system. And the folks who get paid the most are the ones at the top of the ecosystem, right? And that's an injustice. That isn't balanced. And that happens because of this combination of quick take and eminent domain. One of the things that could happen without a policy change, Alex, although I'd love to see one, is that any of the natural gas companies building could, instead of going to the courts and asking for preliminary injunctions or quick take, they could ask for accelerated, like fast track for the court cases. Because quick take takes away a landowner's right to due process. We have no place in which to air our concerns and negotiate through in the ways in which we're guaranteed as citizens for those rights. If you instead ask, so doing that is the wrong remedy for the courts. If we need to accelerate the process of building pipelines, then fast track the court cases. Give every landowner their day in court if they choose to have it. If they don't give them the right to negotiate, that's fine. We rebalance that system in a way that I think fundamentally changes the adversarial nature of the relationship. It isn't perfect, it doesn't get rid of everything, but it's a huge step forward, and it's one that doesn't require policy. It requires ethics. And there's a question of whether or not we've got it.